So today I'm going to talk about introducing common allergy foods to your little one. I'm going to have this as one of my props. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see. If you're watching it on a podcast, that's okay. I'll describe what I'm doing, but you might want to go over and watch the YouTube as well. So introducing common allergy foods to your baby is super important, especially now. Now we know that rule of introducing common allergy foods early is actually slowly reducing the rate of childhood allergy diagnosis. We still don't know what causes childhood allergy as such. We don't have a cure for it because it's each child's individual immune system thinking that things are attacking it when they're not thinking things like normal everyday food is the enemy. So the body jumps in, the immune system attacks, and that's when the reaction hits. So unfortunately, 1 in 10 babies under the age of 1 now have a diagnosed food allergy. That's the ones we know about. And that slowly decreases a bit to school age children, which is more like 1 in 5. But it's basically millions of Australian families. And nearly just as many in the UK and the USA. So yeah, Australia is the worst country in the world for childhood allergy. Again, we don't have a specific reason for that, but it did kind of coincide with more modern day ways of living. People say, well, is it that we just know what it is now, so there's more diagnosis? Well, not really, no. That like an allergic reaction is quite an obvious reaction. And it's just, it wasn't happening as much as it is now, and it has gone up by like 3-fold in the last 20-30 years. So it's a problem. It's an epidemic of its own, we would say. So introducing common allergy foods early is what we need to do. There's lots of reasons for that. We do know that by prepping the immune system and saying, oh, this is okay, like really early, actually the body does listen to that, and it does reduce the risk of the child developing a food allergy. Some children, obviously 9 out of 10 children, wouldn't get a food allergy anyway, wouldn't develop a food allergy anyway, but we just don't know which children they would be. Yes, if there's a family history, they're more likely to develop food allergy, but that's not necessarily the case. I've looked after hundreds and hundreds of families where I know one family that has 8 children now, and one of them has severe food allergies to all different foods. There is no reason for that. There's no way of saying, oh, this is why that happened. It just did. So it's really important to do what we can. And pretty much the only thing we know what to do is introduce common allergy foods early. Now, when we say early, we don't mean earlier than any other food. It's just when your child is ready to start eating, we need to get those common allergy foods in there alongside the first foods. So obviously age appropriate. So they need to be in, nice runny paste form or powdery form or something that will mix in very easily. No hard nuts or anything like that. No massive bits of toast at the very beginning, although sometimes that's okay if you're doing baby-led weaning. But I am not a nutritionist and I'm not a feeding expert. So what I can do is tell you how to introduce common allergy foods, how to prep food so that it's safe and not choking risk. But when it comes to nutrition, you'll need to find a nutritionist for that, which we have one on hand. So do let us know if you want some nutrition advice. So what we have here at the Nest is we've developed a introducing common allergy foods like a protocol, if you like. So if you are one of these people that's actually really nervous and you're not sure, how to do it, or, you just want like a system, you want to be told step by step what to do, then I can give you the highlight version of that today. We do talk about it inside our feeding and weaning membership, which is really a membership for you to just dip in and out whenever you want. We've got lots and lots of different resources inside the Nest Mums membership. We've got the Nest method, which is the nurture, eat, spot, treat method inside, which the nurture is like, is your baby ready for food? The E for eat is, how to prep the food, how to prep food for introducing common allergy foods, how to reduce the risk of choking when they eat. And then the S of Nest is spot. So spotting the allergic reaction, spotting the choking, spotting the gagging, knowing the difference. And then the T from the Nest is the treat. So what do you do if your child starts choking? What do you do if your child starts gagging? What do you do if your child starts having a mild, moderate or severe allergic reaction? So that's what the Nest method inside the Nest feeding and weaning membership is. But the best thing about the membership is that you get me inside a Facebook group 6 days a week. So to ask any question round the clock, I will reply usually with videos, or at the very least, obviously, reply within a couple of hours. But yeah, you're going to get high level, high touch kind of support from a paediatric nurse of 25 years and an allergy nurse for the last 10. So we're in there to support you. One of the things we do is give you the protocol about introducing common allergy foods. So not necessarily liquids, but the foods, like anything, egg, nuts, soy, seafood, whitefish, salmon, you know, anything along those lines, sesame. But I'll start with, I'm going to use this almond Brazil cashew spread. So what we do is we go through, now you want to do this at a time of day where your child isn't sleepy, just so you can watch for signs of allergic reaction. And what we're going to do is break it up into 4 sections. So we're going to give an 1/8 of a teaspoon, and then we're going to wait 20 minutes, and then we're going to double it to 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then we're going to wait 20 minutes, and then we're going to double it to 1/2 a teaspoon, wait 20 minutes, and then we're going to give a whole teaspoon. Now, you don't necessarily have to give the whole teaspoon, because a whole teaspoon of nut butter is actually, you know, like, it's quite sticky. So this is why, if you're giving this really early on, the sticky nut butter can actually be a choking risk. So you do need to water it down if it's thick and you know, like really sticky. You need to water it down with some either water, breast milk, formula, whatever you have. But if it's very oily, you might not necessarily need to do that straight away. So this is the almond Brazil cashew spread from Woolies. You just get it, it's usually on the top shelf where the peanut butter and jam and that is. And one of the questions I get about this, because I always recommend this as one of the first things that you can introduce when it comes to nuts. One of the questions I get is, but that's 3 in 1. Aren't you supposed to do them individually? Yes, you're supposed to do them individually, but life happens. You're busy. You're overwhelmed. There is a lot of shit going on at the moment when you have a little baby. So why not try and bang out 3 in 1? Okay, things have to be doable. If your child does have a reaction to this, it's likely to be the cashew, okay? I just know from experience, from 10 years working in allergy, the almond is probably the least likely to cause an allergic reaction when it comes to the nuts, and the Brazil is even less likely. I actually think Brazil is less likely because people just don't eat it unless it's covered in chocolate at Christmas. Brazil nut is not something that's normally in stuff. So cashew is definitely on the rise. It's almost at a par with peanut allergy right now. So if your child did react to this, remember that's only 1 in 10. So you've got a high chance of your child having this and being fine with it. If your child did react to this, yes, you need to start from scratch, but I would start with cashew after seeing your GP. Please see your GP first, but my money would be on the reaction coming from the cashew. So what you want to do is you're going to start with 1/8 of a teaspoon of this. Now, these nut butters are very runny because they're all natural and there's no nasties much in here. So they're 100% the nut. Okay, so now I've actually covered the spoon in nut butter, and I'm going to lick it just to make it clean again. Yum. So you want to give 1/8 of a teaspoon, which isn't very much. For those of you on YouTube, I'm just going to put it over. It's about this much, okay? This is the world's smallest spoon, by the way. But you just need a little bit on the end there. Just so you know, this is not an exact science either, okay? This is not an exact science. You don't need to be, you know, actually measuring out 1/8 of a teaspoon. You would only do that if you were doing oral immunotherapy or something similar. For this is just your home introduction. We haven't proven that your child has food allergies at this point, so, you know, we're good to go. Once they've had the 1/8 of a teaspoon, you're going to wait 20 minutes and you're going to watch for any signs of mild, moderate or severe allergic reaction. After 20 minutes, if there's no signs whatsoever, you're going to double it to 1/4 of a teaspoon. So there's a lot of oil in here, but This is around about 1/4 teaspoon. I can't really tip it up because it's just going to drop off here. You're going to wait 20 minutes after you've given that, and you're going to double it to 1/2 teaspoon, a little bit more on there. It's a little bit runny. 1/2 teaspoon. You're going to make sure it goes in their mouth. You wipe their mouth if they get covered in it. They need to make sure you wipe their mouth and their hands. You want it in the mouth, not anywhere else. You don't want it rubbed on the lips, on the face, because it might give you a false reaction. That doesn't mean they're actually allergic. It just makes their mouth red. After that 1/2, if they've done all right there, you can stop there, because like I said, a whole teaspoon of nut butter is actually quite a lot. So if you want to stop at the 1/2, that's fine. At the end of the day, they've had nearly a whole teaspoon by having those 3 doses, the 1/8, 1/4, 1/2. So if you want to give the whole teaspoon, you can absolutely go for it. That's absolutely fine. And then watch them for the next 2 hours after the last dose for signs of an allergic reaction. If your child does show signs of an allergic reaction at any point, remove the food immediately and watch them for signs of it becoming severe. If it goes into a severe allergic reaction or anaphylaxis, you must call an ambulance, assuming you don't already have an EpiPen. If you do have an EpiPen, you follow your action plan and you give the EpiPen. It's mild to moderate. You can give antihistamine, but remember, excuse me, but I didn't have time to pause. But remember that if you give an antihistamine, it doesn't mean that you're stopping the allergic reaction escalating. It just means that that's really just a comfort measure to take away itch, or just to make them feel a little bit more comfortable. So absolutely give the antihistamine, but you still need to watch them really closely. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. I'm going to go and finish off this spoon now, but if you want more intensive support, we have the 2 memberships. We have the membership for people with children who already have food allergies, and we have the membership for mums who just are new at all this and they want some support for just the early days of weaning. How do I make food safe? What do I, in what form do I give it? How do I introduce common allergy foods? How do I know the difference between choking and gagging? We're there for that kind of support inside the mums membership, and the Facebook group for both the different memberships is really where the value is at, because we're in there 6 days a week with your community, with me, answering your questions, giving you support, and you stay as long as you need. Okay, so anyway, I hope you've had a good week. Happy New Year for those of you that I won't speak to before then, and I'll see you again next week.